glad we're on because it's John from SurfFX and we're having a look at the new Smik Wing. This is like the version 2 of what I would say is probably our best-selling wave foil wing that we have. What have they done? Oh, they've just tried to make it better for surfing. So if you were looking for a dedicated one, this would be the go. They've also, a lot of those things they've done to make it good for surfing have made it pretty good for jumping and a little bit of free ride too. So number 1, canopy tension. Even pushing on it, it is tight. You'll notice this trailing edge is tight. It's all about having it stable and so the wing doesn't flop around, particularly when you're backhanded and it's just holding its position behind you. So you want easy power on, canopy to maintain its shape so you don't get a whole lot of flutter and flopping happening. So I mean, some of the video you get of this, you can see it's little to no little flutter on it at all when you're kind of just ripping down a wave with it. So nice little hat to have, and that's kind of that trailing edge, this bit here, keeping it nice and tight. You can see there's a few little, there's like a little bit of reinforcing panels there to try to help that a little bit more on the wingtips, but that's all about getting that canopy tension. You can see here it really dips away. It's got a lot of draft up in the front, so that's just pulling upwind. So when you're coming through the lineup, you can go around the back and just chug upwind. This will do it at a pretty good pace because you've got so much draft that it just really wants to draw forward, which is, you know, where you want to go to get faster. Having a look at the back side of it, it's got a decent size like center strut through it. Again, wanting to keep it rigid, like when you'll notice if you kind of really load up, most guys will find this if they start jumping, loading up for a jump, you don't want the whole thing kind of like buckling in half, and that's where you get this rigidity from having a rigid center strut, rigid leading edge. Their handles, they do have a soft handle as opposed to like some of the ones that come with the bar, but they do have a great positive feel. They're sewn on really wide at the base, so you do have a good bit of control when you're twisting, and there's a lot of them. So you're not real limited for hand placement. Sometimes on some of them that have handles, you're like, oh, you know what? It's almost like they skimped a bit, and they could have spent another couple bucks and put an extra handle in here or there. So you can get it for when you're a little bit better positioning. Sometimes it's nice to relax. You can kind of go one hand for a sec, but having a lot of handles really just makes it, you know, that much more useful. Front handle, again, the same kind of setup they got there. It's that fairly stiff handle with a wide stitch point, so it just kind of sits nicely. It is a lower down handle, which is kind of nice because that helps it float better behind you. It gives you a little bit more lift on it. And then coming through that stiff leading edge, they've changed a little bit of the seam work on it to reinforce it even more. And you can see there, like how just the canopy tension in this is fantastic. And you can see that real deep draft through the middle. Now, probably the little most subtle thing that a lot of guys wouldn't pick up on unless they're, you know, winging already or have the previous versions, so I can swing it around, is the wingtips have a little bit of a deflected angle. So that little bit of difference in angle on the wingtip helps control it. So when you are holding it up behind, that little kind of hook down on the tips catches a bit of wind, keeps it stable, keeps it rocking from side to side, and really lets you lets you kind of get down the wave without worrying about the wing too much, which is all the wave riding is about on these. So good to see that Scott has done a good job from this. Scott McKercher, the designer, Smik, has put some serious time into this, and look, this is going to be probably the wave wing to beat. So we'll see what happens with the next few that are coming out for the new season, but yeah, the new Smik V2 is just definitely all about the waves.